Hey guys, so today we are going to remove and replace the window seals on my 1985 Vanagon Westie. So the first thing you're going to want to do is roll down your window so that you can get to the seals. The first part of this video, I'm going to do the seals first instead of, like I do need to take this window out and replace it because I know that it's rusted underneath, and I also want to change these seals on the vent wing too. The first part of this video is just going to be taking off the seals just in case you only want to take the seals off this part of the door, and instead of taking apart the seals on the vent wing. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take off these little aluminum clips that hold on this aluminum trim piece around the window. There's going to be one here and one in the front. The next thing that you want to do is take off this seal above the window. So basically all you need to do is just grab a hold of it and pull, and just keep pulling all the way around. Now, most of the seals that I've seen out there do not have this little chrome trim. So if you are not planning on taking off your vent window, you're going to need to trim these little chrome trim pieces right about here with like a cutter or something. Just make sure that you don't cut into the metal. I'm not going to need to cut them because I'm taking these windows off anyway and replacing the seals. So since I'm doing that, the new seals don't have a place for the trim piece. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to take off the bottom scraper, and these are held on by 4 clips down at the bottom. So be careful when you're pulling up on them not to rip the clips out. Now you see I pulled off one of the clips, so I'll have to put that back on when I put the new scrapers in. So now the next piece is the inner scraper. Peel the glue off of that. You're going to want to pull up on it basically the same way that you did the outer scraper. Being careful not to rip out any more of the clips than you need to. There we go. None of the clips came out with that one. It's good. Now you can put this to the side. Alright, so the next seal that you want to take out is going to be this one that runs down the side of the vent wing. Basically this is the easiest one to come out. It just kind of pulls out of there. That's it. That's pretty much it for if you're just going to take apart the window seals for the roll-up windows and not for the vent. You can skip to the other part of the video when I'm putting back on the new seals for the roll-up windows. But remember, if you are putting new seals back on this part and not on this part, and your van does have this chrome trim piece, you will need to cut the trim piece here and here, being careful not to rip the seals on the vent wing, and being careful not to scratch the car too much because you don't want to cause any rust. So to take off this, I'm pretty much certain that there's no other way than taking off your mirrors. So there's just 2 screws down at the bottom, and you'll see what I mean by I don't see any other way, because when you're swinging this vent out, it's gonna be in the same area that your mirror is in. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is take off the door cards. The first thing you're going to want to do is take off this little vent here. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is take off the plastic trim around the latch. This part was not really obvious to me when I first looked at this. All you really need to do is put in a screwdriver here. And this plastic is extremely delicate because it's old, and this just kind of slides out. Then you're going to take a Phillips screwdriver and take out that one Phillips screw on the inside of this, and I just dropped it down the door. Perfect. Woo! Yeah. The next thing is a door pull. I'm just gonna put a screwdriver up here. Again, these are like super delicate pieces of plastic. Take off the bottom one, and then there's gonna be 2 Phillips head screws on either the top and the bottom. Patience is the key to everything in a van. Alright, now we take off the window roller handle, and all you're going to do for this is put a little screwdriver behind it and try to get this off like that. I'm going to spin it around a little bit, but again, it's probably going to be fragile. And there's going to be a little piece of plastic behind here that keeps it rolling on the felt part of the door. We've removed everything that's on the door card, and now we're going to just take the door card off. And pretty much what you're going to want to do is just, you know, find a place to grip the door card and pull out, because there are little buttons, clips on the back. Don't pull too hard on the door, because remember you do have a speaker here, and you're going to unplug your speaker wires. The negative is a little bit smaller than the positive wire. The next part is to take the window actually out of the door. We'll peel it kind of gently and make sure that the tape stays on the plastic, and try not to rip the plastic. The next thing you're going to want to do is grab a 10mm ratchet with an extension, and you're going to want to bring the window right where you can reach this bolt from this hole. You don't need to worry about this falling, because when you take out the bolts, there's kind of like a little part that it kind of sits on. See? So the window's standing by itself. You don't have to worry about it going down the door. Well, now comes the real battle, and it's taking this window out of the door. Just lift it and try to figure out a way to finagle it out without destroying the door in the process. There it is. Now that looked easy. It was a lot easier actually than the other side that I worked on earlier today. And so if you're having problems taking that out, don't worry. Just be, you know, nice and gentle with it and take it out slowly. And eventually you'll figure out a way of getting it out. All right, next thing is to take out the vent wing itself. And we're going to do that by taking out the little tiny screw that's up on top of the door and this 10mm bolt that's here. One of the things that you're going to want to do is take these clips off from the inside of the door on the forward part, the one closest to the vent wings, because you're going to need to slide it over this to get the window out. You pretty much do that just by sticking the screwdriver into the back of the clip right here, pushing this out, and then pulling up on the clip, and it should be able to come right out. Let's find out if you can see what I'm doing here. So, just like that. The clip should come right out. Make sure you keep your hand on it because they fall into the door. Alright, now that that's out, you're going to take this window off. And it's going to need a little bit of work to get out. Okay. Alright, so to get this out, keep this on this side of the door, rotate the window around like that, so that the vent is sticking outside the door, and then there's going to be a little foot in there. Alright, now we can take off the trim piece for the final time. I like to keep anything original on my car, you know. Just in the unlikely event that this car becomes rare and unique, and I want to put it back to original. Okay, now's a good time to clean up the places where the window seals are going to go, to take down any rust if there's any, and to make everything nice and pretty so that when the new seals go back on, they go back clean, and everything looks good in the end. So since my vent windows were completely rusted on the bottom, I went out and looked for some newer ones. This is from a used parts place on, if you go to thesamba.com, you can find a whole bunch of used parts. I found these, and you can see here that it's for a Vanagon. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take the seals off of these old crumbly seals, and put these brand new seals on. I bought these seals off of Go Westy. And yeah, they're just easy to find. You can probably find them in other places too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these apart, and I'm going to clean up any rust or anything like that. If there is any rust, this one looks pretty good, but this one I know has a little bit of surface corrosion right here. I'm just going to scrape that down, and going to put like some spray paint over it just to make sure that everything like stays rust free. And then I'll go ahead and put these on. I'm going to start off with the passenger side first, but they're pretty much the same on both sides, so I'm only going to do one. The first thing I want to do is take the Torx driver and remove these two screws on the glass so the glass can come out. Is. Now I'm going to remove this Phillips head screw that's here on the bottom so that this piece can come off so that the rubber doesn't break when I put it on. Comes off. You just wiggle this loose from the stick. You should be able to pull the stick right out. I suggest probably putting it back together so that you know which way everything was. That was like that. Okay, so this seal over here should just pretty much pull right out. If you have to stick a screwdriver in there, just be very careful not to bend the edge. And yep, it should just pop right out. Okay, now you're pretty much just gonna start peeling this rubber apart. Peel it off of the frame, being careful not to bend the frame. Little part right here where the window hinges is going to be very difficult to pull off, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it right here and just peel it around. Okay, here's the old seal. And this is the new seal for this side. Okay, so before I put on the new seal, I'm gonna wanna like clean this up, spray paint it, try to get as much of the rust off as possible because my old frames were destroyed on the bottom because of this rust. I just got these back from powder coating. You know, I said that I was just gonna, scrape off some of the rust and spray paint them, but I thought, I want these things to last a long time. So I had them sandblasted and powder coated, so now it's got a really nice, durable finish on it. And we're gonna go ahead and put new seals on these. All right, well, the first thing you wanna do is get a little tub of petroleum jelly or Vaseline or something like that, just to make this job a little bit easier because fitting these in is going to be difficult, especially around this little hinge part. We're going to first start by making sure this is the correct side. You don't want to put it on the wrong side. So this little rubber piece that sticks out is going to be facing outwards on the car. So this is going to be the driver's side, and this one is going to be the passenger side. I know that most of this video has been done on the driver's side, but I actually did the passenger side first, and I want to finish that one before I get to the other one. So I'm going to do the passenger side first. We're going to put the petroleum jelly into here because this is where this part is going to slide. You don't need an insane amount, you just need to make it a little slipperier to get everything in there. Another thing that you might not want to do is get any petroleum jelly on these little ends because these ends are going to be glued down or silicone down to the window seal when we put it back onto the car. The next thing you want to do is just take a little bit of that petroleum jelly or Vaseline or whatever and put it on this because this is going to be the most difficult part. It's going to be trying to slide this onto the little hole that's right there. Here we go, just like that. Now what you can start to do is press it around, and it should kind of just go right into place. This is brand new rubber, so it'll be nice and easy to bend. Okay, the inside of this also has a little bit of a beaded edge. So as you can see here, all you really need to do is just push on here, on the edge of this, and roll it over so that it catches the frame on the inside. You know, another thing that I almost forgot to do was put on these little plates here for the window locks. So I'll just put those on, some pliers. For this side, the longer side, to get this seal in, it's actually a good idea to hold it from the back. Let's see if I can get this on tape. Hold it from the back to make sure that it's in first. So hold it from the back and then push on this side to get this little bead in so that it holds. Because if you just try to put the bead in like this on this side, you'll get to the back and you'll be like, oh look, there's a big space. Realizing that I keep saying back, but this is actually the inside of the car and this is the outside of the car. So hold it on the inside of the car and push down on the little part that's going to be on the outside. Alright, so once you're done, it's actually a good idea to go around and just make sure that everything is on there really well. Make sure that everything went in correctly and that there's no, sides poking out or popping out anywhere. Okay, once everything is on, all the seals are on, it's a good idea to take your window and go clean it. So I'm gonna clean my window. This is the original one that was on my car. So I'm gonna take this window and put it on the new frame. All right, well, before I clean this window, I see that this is kind of like, come off. Just leave it there on the side. I wonder if this would cause any water leaking. You know what, I'll probably put this back in with a little bit of silicone on it, just to make sure that it doesn't leak. But for right now, since I wanna clean the window, I'm gonna leave it off. I have a nice clean vent window that I'm going to put back in. So these little metal pieces that are embedded into the glass are going to sit on these other little things right here that have little teeth. So make sure that you get all of the Vaseline off of this so that it doesn't move around. You notice I did a wardrobe change just because I started getting grease on my shirt, so can't have that. Okay, so now we're going to put this piece back in. All we need to do is push this and pop it into place into the seal. This will be on the underside, and make sure the outer side of the window frame is facing up. So when you put this on, it's nice and flat. This longer piece of the clip, right here, this longer piece, is going to sit flat on the bottom of there, of this little clip that's on the window frame. Then we're going to take your Phillips head screw, put it on there. Don't tighten it up yet. Nice and loose. Push that on. You can make it a little snug, but not snug enough to make it any, more difficult to make you spin this around, because we still need to put the window back on. A little bit of silicone right on the inner edge of this. Just like that. Okay, so to get that on, you just kind of push from the side here until this flips and gets onto the window. Okay, so before you put these screws on completely, like for the final time, you're gonna want to put a little bit of blue. Let's shake this up a little bit. You want to put a little bit of blue thread locker on there. One. That. Put that back in. But everything is together. You're going to want to tighten this up. I also just want to make sure that everything is sealing correctly before it's like finally latched. Now that's good. And I'm just going to leave it latched like that, just so that the rubber kind of takes the shape of the window, and then everything is it stays nice. I'll basically do the exact same thing for the next window, and then you can put them back onto the car. Now you're going to get some petroleum jelly, and you're going to rub it on the inside of this seal, all the way around the entire vent window seal, so that it slides easily inside the door. Okay, so putting this in is going to be another pain in the butt, but you got to do it. So you're going to want to put it the same kind of way that you took it out. So you want to stand on the inside of the door. You want this to be out. You're going to put this leg in. You're going to want this, the leg of the wing vent, to be on the rear side of the bracket for the mirror on the outside of the door. So if you look at the bracket on the inside of the door, like the structure of the door, you're going to want the leg on the rear side of it. And this is why you got rid of those clips, so that you can go back a little bit. Now make sure that everything is lining up correctly. Okay, so this is in. Now all you really need to do is put in the screw on the top and the 10mm bolt down at the bottom to hold the vent wing in place. Now it's probably a good idea to put some blue Loctite on the lower bolt before you put it back in. Okay, so before this I cleaned up the window a little bit just to get all the gunk and stuff on the bottom of the window that was never seen off. Now it's a little bit cleaner. This also takes a little bit of work to get in, just like it took to get out. Just gonna have to figure out which way works the best to get it in to your window. So it's in. Now you're going to want to put the two 10mm bolts that hold the window onto the bracket. Also a good idea to put some blue Loctite on these as well. I'm going to lower the window down a little bit here, just enough where it makes it a little bit easier for me to reach. Just going to want to not really snug them up too much, just make sure that they're on so they don't fall into the door when you're messing around with the door or the window going up and down. Alright, now you're going to roll the window down. Now before you put on the seals, actually, you're going to want to put the clips back into the door. So the easiest way I've found to do this, to put the clips back on when there's a window in here and like you can't fit your fingers in there, is to take a flat screwdriver, put the clip on the end of the flat screwdriver, stick it down in there, and they should just slide right into the hole. Okay, so the next seal that you're going to want to put in is this seal that goes into the back side of your vent wing. And you're going to spray some soapy water on the back. And you only need to spray about this much because that's as much as you need to go slide down. And then you're just going to stuff it in here. And then when you get up to a certain point, you're going to make sure that it's not like touching the inside of the top part of the door. If it is, you can always just cut it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to start with the outer side of this frame, but you don't have to. You can start with the inner side. The felt will always be facing towards the window. Okay, so the rounded edge goes towards the rounded side of the door, and the flat edge goes towards the front. So when you put these in, the 4 clips that hold this down are just going to slide right into the clip. If they don't, you can always put a screwdriver into the clips and kind of bend them out just a little bit, just to make them go in a little bit easier, but usually they just pop right in. And now it's snug, and now it's perfect. Okay, now we got the inner, and of course you're going to know it's the inner because of which way the felt is going compared to like the round side. The round side goes to the back side of the door, and the flat side goes to the front. Make sure that the felt is facing inwards. Okay, now you're going to take the original seal that went around the back, like the top side of your door, and you're going to straighten it out as much as you can. And you're going to take the new seal that you have, line it up against it, and see how much you need to cut off. Alright, now you're going to press this seal into place with, of course, the felt side down where the window is going to go. Most likely you're going to want to start with the bottom part here. You just kind of shove that down in here and work your way around the window, making sure that the seal goes all the way in. Next thing you want to do is clean out these little flaps with something that's not going to leave like a lot of fuzz behind. Put some contact cement, like I have this Loctite contact cement, or some glue. There are also 2 more of these types of flaps that you need to glue down at the top part of the door. Alright, so now that we have all of our window seals on, you're going to want to roll up the window and give a final tighten to those to the bolts that hold the window on. Alright, now you're going to want to start putting back the door panel. Put back this plastic, making sure that the holes line up with the spots in the door where those little clips go. I opened this one up just to clean out the inside of here, but my door wasn't draining right. So now I'm pretty confident that the drains here at the bottom are going to let out the water that gets inside the door. Now just get your door card and remember to plug the speaker back in. Small one is the negative, the larger one is the positive. And then line up the door card with the little spikes where they're supposed to go. And then just push them into place, like that. Alright, first thing you want to put on is the window crank. Again, I like putting a little bit of Loctite on it. And do not forget that little piece of plastic that sits on the inside to make it easier to roll. Another thing with this is, since my other side is already rolled up, I like to look over to see like which way this thing is pointing when it's all the way rolled up. Yeah, because I am a professional. Now to put the cover back on, just push the plastic back on and your window should work. Next, let's put the door pull on. First, we're going to put the thicker screws in, like that, and then we'll put the smaller ones in. I'm going to put these little plastic things in, and one side has a little tab, only one tab, and the other side has two. The two tabs go towards the door, and the one tab goes in, like that. The bottom ones move right along to the door latch. Door latch is pretty simple. Make sure you take the screw out so you don't drop it in the door like I did the first time. Put this here, put your screw, put it in the hole. Take this extremely fragile piece of plastic and put it back, and you put this over like that. Alright, now we're going to move right on back to this little rear part of the door, this little vent, and pop this in to the side just like that. Remember that the shorter screw goes up on top and the longer screw goes down at the bottom. And again, this is plastic, so don't torque them down, just tighten them up. Perfect. Now your shiny new window seals are installed and ready to brave any rainstorm. Thanks for watching.